I'm just gonna ask.
Get ready for the wildest ride of your life.
Glorilla, the Memphis queen, has just been slammed with a major sentence after police found a huge stash of marijuana in her home. And it's not looking good. Add that to her past DUI and reckless driving charges, and it's like, goodbye forever. But let's rewind and talk about how we got here. Glorilla's story is one for the books. Growing up in South Memphis with 9 siblings wasn't easy. Every meal was a struggle, air mattresses were luxury furniture, and making it to the next week was an accomplishment in itself. But Gloria, aka Hallelujah Woods, had something special. Her mom marked her as different from day one. Before she was spitting bars about being FNF, Shorty was in the church heavy. She was in the choir singing gospel joints like Amazing Grace and Encourage Yourself. And her family was at church every single Sunday without fail. This girl had pipes and could really sing, not just rap.
Used to sing Amazing Grace. Used to sing this song called Encourage Yourself.
You were really a singer. Yeah, I used to be singing in church like I had a good voice. But when high school hit, the streets got a way of calling young people. Gloria started experimenting with weed, and the singing took a back seat to other priorities. The path that would eventually lead to rap stardom began to take shape. Fast forward to early 2022, and we find Gloria linking up with producer Hit Kid on what would become the track that changed the whole game, FNF, Let's Go. FNF wasn't just some random studio session. It was lightning in a bottle. The song absolutely demolished every platform it touched, going viral on TikTok, hitting the Billboard Hot 100, and even snagging a Grammy nomination. But let's keep it 100 about what FNF really represented in the culture. This wasn't just another rap joint. This was a whole anthem for women who were tired of settling for less than they deserve. But success in the music game always comes with drama. And the FNF situation was no different. Hit Kid, the producer who crafted the beat, came sideways claiming that Glorilla and CMG was trying to secure ownership of the track without putting him in the loop. Glo wasn't about to let nobody play her or question her hustle. Her response showed exactly why she was built different. And then there's the major label courting process. Every major label was trying to get at her, flying her out for meetings and promising her the world. But Glo was smart enough to take her time and not get caught up in the hype. What made her different from a lot of artists who get starstruck by the major label courting process was her street smarts and business sense. She spent 2 weeks meeting with different labels before finally sitting down with Yo Gotti. And even then, she was nervous because Gotti was right there in Memphis and had that reputation. But what sealed the deal wasn't just Gotti's street credibility or his paper. It was his vision for her career. Unlike all them other label executives who just saw FNF as a fluke or were trying to figure out how to recreate that same energy, Gotti recognized her potential and believed in her whole catalog. When she played him her unreleased music on that yacht, he knew he had found the real deal. And that's when it all came together. Glorilla and CMG, signing with Gotti, and getting ready to take the world by storm. But now, with this major sentence hanging over her head, it's like, is this really goodbye forever? The police found a huge stash of marijuana in her home, which adds to her past DUI and reckless driving charges. And let's not forget that she was arrested on July 22, 2025 in Forsyth County, Georgia on some felony possession charges, weed, and a controlled substance. But here's the thing, this arrest ain't happened because she was out here trapping or moving weight. Nah, fam. This happened because some grimy-ass burglars broke into her crib while she was out of town performing at the WNBA All-Star Weekend. And when the police showed up to investigate the break-in, they found some bud in her bedroom and decided that arresting the victim was more important than catching the real criminals. Let that marinate for a second. Fam Shorty calls the law because her house got violated, her family got traumatized, and her shit got stolen. And instead of these boys in blue focusing on finding the real perpetrators who committed the actual crimes, they decided to flip the script and make her the criminal. They booked her and she had to post a $22, $260 bond. All because she had some personal stash in her own damn house that she wasn't even at when the crime happened. Her response on social was raw as hell and kept it all the way real. She hit Twitter with some fire that got over 3.6 million views. Crazy. But what really is crazy is how we've gotten to this point. From being in church heavy to spitting bars about FNF, Glorilla's story is one for the books. And now, with this major sentence hanging over her head, it's like, is this really goodbye forever? As we continue the story of Glorilla's rise to fame and her
Big bag, big Glock in my hip. Wow, that was it. Okay, what are you thinking?
subsequent fall into legal trouble, it becomes clear that she was never just a one-hit wonder. From being in church heavy to spitting bars about FNF, Glorilla's story is indeed one for the books. And now, with this major sentence hanging over her head, it's like, is this really goodbye forever? Let's go back to where we last left off, April 2024, when Glorilla got hemmed up in Gwinnett County, Georgia on some DUI charges. Now, DUI stops happen to celebrities all the time, but the body cam footage from this arrest showed something different. It revealed an artist who already knew she was being treated like a suspect before any evidence was even presented. When that officer asked her to identify herself, Glow's response showed someone who already understood that fame don't protect you from being profiled. It just makes you more of a target.
Enlighten me on who you are.
You're seeing me. No, 'cause you still going to pick on me. It don't matter who I am.
Pick on you. I'm not picking on you.
You can smell alcohol off your breath, but I'm not drunk. I can tell you this. Beep. Glow immediately knew she wasn't getting the benefit of the doubt. The footage shows a woman who's confused, frustrated, and slowly realizing that the deck is stacked against her. Turn around for me. All right. Okay.
I'm going to take two. I'm going to take two.
That doesn't change anything. You still are going to be arrested. Boy, what if you don't have any proof on me? No, ma'am. I do. This 2024 arrest should have been a warning sign, not for Glow, but for anybody paying attention to how the system treats successful young black artists. But instead of learning from this and treating her fairly moving forward, it seems like law enforcement was just getting warmed up. Meanwhile, Glow's career was absolutely exploding in ways that had the whole industry taking notice. Her collab with Cardi B on Tomorrow 2 went crazy, and she was building a reputation as one of the realest voices in the game. But with more visibility came more scrutiny, and not all of it was fair or justified. The pressure of fame was showing in her personal life, too. Shorty had already been through a serious heartbreak that had her not eating for weeks, and the constant attention was taking its toll on her mental health and relationships. I said, I never want nobody to have that much power over me where I can't eat. Yeah. No, I be telling people when you get to that, you just got to drink protein shakes and chores. That's the only thing. You don't even be wanting to drink it. I be having to force myself. And it's like, what am I doing?
I can't eat this.
This vulnerability that Glow showed in interviews made her relatable to millions of fans, but it also painted a bullseye on her back. The legal troubles were stacking up in other areas, too. There were ongoing beefs with former collaborators and producers, business deals going sour, and the constant pressure of maintaining her image while dealing with personal demons that would break most people. But it was how she handled criticism and controversy that really showed what type of person Glow was at her core. When she caught heat for using an offensive word in her lyrics in August 2024, she didn't double down or make excuses. She revised the bars and addressed the concerns heeded. This type of accountability is rare in the rap game, but it also showed that Glow was someone who could be reasoned with, someone who genuinely cared about her impact on others. On August 24, 2024, she responded by revising the lyrics to Me and My BH Got Naughty, sharing the updated version on X. The fans showed love for her addressing the situation with comments like, okay, Naughty, a considerate queen, and other artists should take notes. The drop of her debut album, Glorious, in October 2024, should have been nothing but celebration, but instead it sparked another controversy. The project included Rain Down on Me, featuring gospel legends like Maverick City Music, Kirk Franklin, Chandler Moore, and Kiara Shear, which had some folks in the gospel community feeling some type of way about these artists collaborating with Glow, given her explicit content. But her supporters came through with the facts, reminding everybody that Glow grew up in the church, served in the church, and was in the choir. This wasn't no calculated move to capitalize on gospel music. This was an artist going back to her roots, trying to bridge the gap between where she came from and where she was headed. But Glow wasn't letting nobody else write her story. She continued speaking out on important issues, including her stance on plastic surgery and body positivity. When faced with body-shaming comments, she responded with that raw confidence.
No, I'm not getting a BBL.
I already feel like the thickest bit in DA world. By July 2025, Glow had reached the top of her game, performing at major events like the WNBA All-Star Weekend. She was booked, blessed, and building an empire that would have made her younger self proud. But success, as she was about to learn, can make you a target.
No problem with that. Mention the Breakfast Club if you want to go viral.
And his platform is big enough for these artists to, you seen what his platform did for Tweaker. So
yeah, no, he's
French,
had a lot of.
You said French just dropped a song.
Yeah, today.
In ways you never expected. The night of July 20th, 2025, while Glow was in Indianapolis on stage doing what she loved, living her dreams and inspiring thousands of fans, her crib in Georgia was getting violated by some grimy criminals who knew she wasn't home. 3 suspects broke into her house, and when an armed family member fired shots at the intruders, they bounced, jewelry got stolen, her family got traumatized, and a young woman's sense of safety and security got shattered. But what happened next is where this story takes a turn that'll have you heated and questioning everything you thought you knew about justice in America. Instead of focusing their investigation on finding the criminals who violated Glow's home, who terrorized her family, who stole her property, the police decided that the real crime was some marijuana they found in her bedroom closet. Think about that for a minute, fam. A successful young black woman calls the police because her house got burglarized, her family got traumatized, her property got stolen, and the police response is to arrest her for possession of some bud, a substance that's legal in mad states and decriminalized damn near everywhere else. And the most infuriating part, as of the latest reports, no arrests have been made in connection with the actual burglary. The real criminals, the ones who broke into her house, terrorized her family, and stole her property are still walking free. But Glow, the victim in this whole situation, is the one facing felony charges that could derail everything she's worked for. The fight back and what's next for the Queen. When word got out about Glow's arrest, the response was immediate, and it was fierce as hell. Social media went absolutely bonkers with outrage, not just from her day ones, but from people across the country who recognized what they were seeing. Another example of the so-called justice system punishing the victims while the real criminals stayed free. But it was Glow's own response that truly showed the world what she was made of and why she's built this far. She took to social media, standing firm in her stance against systemic injustice, vowing not to let the system bring her down. Glorilla sentenced, "Goodbye forever the real criminals, the ones who broke into her house, terrorized her family, and stole her property are still walking free." But Glow, the victim in this whole situation, is the one facing felony charges that could derail everything she's worked for. The fight back and what's next for the Queen. When word got out about Glow's arrest, the response was immediate, and it was fierce as hell. Social media went absolutely bonkers with outrage, not just from her day ones, but from people across the country who recognized what they were seeing. Another example of the so-called justice system punishing the victims while the real criminals stayed free. But it was Glow's own response that truly showed the world what she was made of and why she's built this far. She took to social media, standing firm in her stance against systemic injustice, vowing not to let the system bring her down. What made this moment even more significant was the way Glow handled it. Different than most. She didn't hide in the cut, didn't stay quiet, and damn sure didn't let nobody else control her narrative. Her social media posts following the arrest were raw, unfiltered, and absolutely devastating in their honesty. Crazy. My house got home invaded Saturday while I was in Indianapolis performing for the WNBA All-Star Game. And instead of focusing on finding the suspects, they focus on some cannabis. This tweet, which got over 3.6 million views, perfectly captured the absurdity of the whole situation and resonated with people who done experience similar injustices. She followed up with another post that drove the point home even harder. 1. So no, I wasn't busted. 2. My house got robbed. 3. I wasn't home. And then dropped the mic with long story short. My house gets home invaded and I'm the only one that gets arrested. So that's T with a shrugging emoji that somehow managed to convey both frustration and that energy. Let's break down the facts of what went down that night because the details matter and they paint a picture that should have every person with a functioning moral compass absolutely heated. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office responded to a burglary in progress call at 1:30 a.m. at Glow's spot in the Atlanta suburbs. 3 suspects had broken into the house while she was hundreds of miles away performing in Indianapolis. Forsyth County Sheriff's Office said that the deputies responded to a report of a burglary in progress Saturday around 1:30 a.m. at a residence in the Atlanta suburbs. The sheriff's office says 3 suspects entered the house when an armed occupant fired at the intruders. Glorilla was not home at the time of the burglary. The sheriff's office said the 3 suspects fled. No injuries have been reported in the incident. So, we got a clear crime breaking and entering burglary, terrorizing a family. We got clear victims, close family members who were staying at the house and had to defend themselves against armed intruders. We got clear criminals, the 3 suspects who broke in and stole jewelry before bouncing when they realized the house wasn't empty. But somehow in the
Neon be having a couple artists come through or whatever, but
because that platform is like, you get on there, all them kids going to listen to the music. I mean, you know what I mean? So,
yeah.
That verse was trash, by the way.
Did they do a song?
So,
twisted logic of this investigation, the police decided that the real priority was going through Glow's personal belongings and arresting her for marijuana possession. They executed a whole search with K9 units and drone teams, got a search warrant for the house, and found what they called a significant amount of marijuana in plain view in the closet of the master bedroom. Here's what's absolutely infuriating about this whole situation. Glow's legal team, led by attorney Drew Finling, released a statement that perfectly captures how backwards this whole thing is. They pointed out that when Glow's family did the right thing and called law enforcement after the violent home invasion, instead of investigating the actual crime, police went and got a search warrant when they spotted some weed. Listen that in NBSP. Understand this in NBSP, winky face again. Fam Miss Woods was out of town when her residence became a target for a group of home invaders who most likely knew she wasn't there. What they didn't know was she had families staying with her that were traumatized by the violent entrance of this group who grabbed high-value jewelry before taking off once they realized the home wasn't vacant. Finding law firm Ash when her family members did the right thing and called law enforcement instead of investigating the violent home invasion and theft at Miss Woods' home. They instead sought a search warrant when they spotted what they believed was a small amount of marijuana. No arrest warrants have been issued for the violent home invaders. The people who actually committed crimes, who broke into someone's house, terrorized a family, and stole property, are walking around free as birds. But Glow, the victim, is facing felony charges that could result in years behind bars. This ain't just about marijuana laws or drug policy. This is about a fundamental perversion of justice that prioritizes criminalizing success over protecting victims. It's about a system that seems specifically designed to bring down young black artists who dare to achieve independence and wealth without asking permission. And Glow ain't the only one who peeped game. The response from the hip-hop community and beyond has been overwhelming. Artists, activists, and regular people are all asking the same questions. How is this justice? How is this protecting and serving? How is this making anybody safer? But perhaps the most powerful response has come from Glow herself. Not through her legal team or publicist, but through her actions. Despite everything she's going through, despite facing felony charges that could destroy her career, she showed up for her scheduled Glow Bash performance at FedEx Forum in Memphis. She didn't hide, didn't cancel, didn't let the system break her spirit. And Glow's impact has been undeniable from day one. From her early days singing in the church choir to her current status as one of hip-hop's most authentic voices, she's consistently used her platform to speak truth to power and inspire others to do the same. Exactly. Laughter. But like, where did this come from? I know I never heard somebody say that until you said it. Seriously. Did you didn't make that up? I actually didn't make that up. Okay. Actually, I don't know where I saw this at, but they was like, yeah, I saw a post they said crackheads be giving out the best advice. One of them just walked up to me and said at the end of the day that they got in. But the current situation facing Glow ain't just about one artist or one case. It's about a pattern of behavior that affects countless young people, particularly young black artists who achieve success. The system seems designed to criminalize their success, to find reasons to bring them down, to send a message that no matter how high you climb, you still subject to different rules. The legal implications of Glow's case are serious as hell. She facing felony charges for possession of marijuana and controlled substance charges that could result in significant prison time if she gets convicted. But more than that, these charges could affect her ability to travel internationally to perform at certain venues to build the empire she's been grinding toward her whole life. The irony is staggering, fam. Here's a young woman who pulled herself out of poverty, who went from sleeping on air mattresses to building a multi-million-dollar empire, who's used her platform to inspire others and give back to her community. She's consistently spoken truth to power, used her voice for justice and equality, and now she's facing the consequences of doing exactly what she was supposed to do. Glow has always been about speaking her mind, using her platform for good, and inspiring a generation with her unapologetic authenticity. And yet, when it comes time for her to be recognized as the star that she is, the system can't seem to get it right. Instead of celebrating her success, they're trying to tear her down. This isn't just about Glow or this one case. It's a symptom of a deeper issue that affects so many young people, especially those from marginalized communities. It's a reminder that we still have a long way to go when it comes to true equality and justice in this country. This isn't just about Glow or this one case. It's a symptom of a deeper issue that affects so many young people, especially those from marginalized communities. It's a reminder that we still have a long way to go when it comes to true equality and justice in this country.
I was hoping the show would still go on. Because they really up for it. They ready to come.
Her concert is a go as Glow's attorneys push back against the charges, calling her arrest a disturbing window into how warped law enforcement priorities have become, going on to say Miss Woods is a victim, not a suspect. Glorilla on X mentioning how instead of deputies focusing on finding the suspects, they focus on some cannabis. The Forsyth County Sheriff emphasized she's a victim of a serious crime. At the same time, we must continue to uphold and enforce the law in all aspects of this case.
And we did reach out to the district attorney's office for comment on the investigation and the charges, but we have yet to hear back.